On the map, Australia's southern edge is pitch black. No cities, no towns, just 1,000 kilometres of empty coastline. The world's largest exposed limestone, treeless as the moon, stretches to a sheer wall above a storm-lashed sea. There is almost nothing here for humans. No rivers, no shelter, not even soil. Yet beneath this silence lies a hidden labyrinth. What force could make such a colossal coastline so empty? And what secrets does it still hold? Stretching more than 1,000 kilometres, the Nullarbor Plain is a single, unbroken slab of limestone, the largest exposed limestone platform on Earth. It covers nearly 200,000 square kilometres, so flat and featureless that the horizon looks endless. No trees break the skyline, just low shrubs scattered across pale rock. In the summer, heat shimmers above the ground, warping the view and making distances feel even more surreal. The soil here is thin, chalky and dry, with barely enough nutrients to support even the toughest plants. Rainfall is rare and quickly disappears into the porous rock, leaving the surface parched for months at a time. Cutting straight across this emptiness is the ER Highway, a ruler straight line stretching over 1,160 kilometres from Ceduna to Norseman. Drivers report hours of travel without a single bend, the road vanishing into a sun-bleached horizon. There are no rivers, no lakes, and almost no sign of human habitation. The only interruptions are the rare roadhouses, spaced out like tiny islands in a sea of stone. Geologists call this region the world's largest limestone exposure, a remnant of an ancient seabed lifted up millions of years ago. The plain's surface is so even and so empty that at times it feels like another planet. There is no natural shelter from the wind or sun. With no water, no shade, and no relief, the Nullarbor is a landscape that resists human settlement at every turn. Rainfall on the Nullarbor Plain does not linger on the surface. Instead, every drop seeps straight into the limestone, vanishing from sight. Over millions of years, this slow trickle has hollowed out one of the largest networks of caves on the planet. Thousands of chambers, tunnels, and sinkholes stretch beneath the plain, some plunging more than 100 meters underground. In these silent, pitch-black spaces, water dissolves rock, grain by grain, carving out vast galleries and narrow passageways. The process is relentless. Rainwater, slightly acidic after absorbing carbon dioxide, eats away at the limestone and opens new routes with every storm. The result is a landscape where rivers never form on the surface. Instead, water moves invisibly below, winding through karst channels and sometimes pooling in hidden lakes deep underground. Cave explorers have mapped more than 300 major systems, but many more remain undiscovered. Inside, life has adapted to total darkness. Blind fish and shrimp found nowhere else navigate by touch and taste. Fossils embedded in the cave walls tell the story of an ancient sea filled with creatures long extinct. Along the southern edge, some caves connect directly to the coast. There, blowholes breathe out gusts of air as underground pressure shifts, hinting at secret rivers moving far below. This underground drainage leaves the surface bone dry and explains why no rivers reach the sea. On the Nullarbor, water is always out of sight, shaping the land from below. South from the endless flat of the Nullarbor, the land stops dead. A vertical limestone wall, the Bunda Cliffs, stretches more than 200 kilometers along the edge of the continent. Here, the earth simply shears off, dropping straight down. Nowhere is it less than 60 meters, and in places it plunges to 120 meters above the Southern Ocean. The face is nearly unbroken, a pale, sharp line that runs for hours of driving without a single natural break. There are no headlands, no bays, no gentle beaches, just this sheer barrier, as if the entire plain has been sliced clean by a giant's knife. The cliffs are built from ancient marine limestone, stacked in thick, horizontal layers. Each band tells a story of vanished seas and long-dead creatures, pressed into rock over millions of years. The topmost edge is capped by wind-blown sand and fragile soil, sometimes overhanging the abyss and always at risk of crumbling away. Below, the cliff face is scored with vertical joints and faint ledges, but offers no foothold. no path down. Only the occasional fresh scar or heap of fallen blocks at the base hints at the slow, relentless erosion that keeps the wall so stark. For more than 200 kilometers, there is not a single natural harbor or sheltered cove. The cliffs drop straight into deep water, with the sea crashing directly against stone. Early explorers searching for a landing found nothing but white spray and the sound of waves smashing against the rock. Even today, nautical charts show a blank line, no anchorages, no safe approach. The Bunda Cliffs form one of the world's uninterrupted coastal escarpments, a wall that has turned back ships and people alike for thousands of years. This is not just a dramatic landscape, it is a physical barrier that blocks access to the entire southern rim of the continent. Wind sweeps across the Great Australian Bight with relentless force. The roaring 40s, powerful westerly winds that circle the globe between 40 and 50 degrees south, slam straight into this coastline day after day. With nothing but open ocean for thousands of kilometers, these winds gather speed, often reaching average speeds of 10 meters per second and sometimes gusting over 25 meters per second. The Southern Ocean responds with towering swells and unpredictable waves, making these some of the roughest seas anywhere on Earth. Sailors have recorded these waters as some of the most dangerous on their charts. Storms can roll in without warning, and waves can stack up to 6 meters high. There are no islands or headlands to break the force, just a sheer drop from the cliffs to deep open water. Ships avoid this stretch whenever possible, not just because of the cliffs, but because the sea itself is a moving barrier. Yet beneath the surface, these same winds drive a hidden process that transforms the ocean. When the summer wind blows hard from the southeast, it pushes surface water away from the coast. Cold, nutrient-rich water wells up from the deep, rising more than 300 meters to the light-filled shallows. This upwelling brings a surge of nutrients that sparks an explosion of life, phytoplankton bloom, attracting fish, whales, and sea lions to feed in the rich waters. The Bonny upwelling, stretching for hundreds of kilometers along the coast, supports one of Australia's most productive marine ecosystems. Dr. Emma Ridgway, a marine scientist, describes it this way: "The roaring 40s make the Bight one of the wildest places for shipping, but they also create the upwelling that feeds almost everything in this part of the ocean. From the cliffs, the ocean looks empty and hostile, but just below the waves, the surge of nutrients supports a web of life that rivals anywhere in the southern hemisphere. This paradox, hostile seas and abundant life, defines the Great Australian Bight. For people, the wind and waves are a warning to keep away. For marine life, they are the engine of survival. For tens of thousands of years, Aboriginal people have travelled and lived across the Nullarbor and the Bight. In a land with no rivers and almost no surface water, survival depended on a deep understanding of every subtle feature in the limestone. Namas, rock holes carved by wind and rain, became lifelines. Elders taught the locations of these hidden water sources, passing knowledge along family lines. Some namas are little more than shallow basins collecting precious rainwater that might last through the dry months. Others are deep cavities, shaded and protected, holding water when the land above is parched. Caves offered more than shelter. Inside, finger tracings still line the walls, marks left by ancestors who mapped their journeys and recorded their presence in darkness. This living knowledge, held by Murning custodians and others, stretches back over 65,000 years. It is a record of adaptation and care, written into the very stone of the Nullarbor. Attempts to tame this coastline have always run into the same barriers. In 1877, the Eucla telegraph station opened near the border, intended to link east and west across the continent. For decades, staff battled isolation, shifting sand dunes, and relentless storms. By 1929, the station was abandoned, half buried by sand, its stone walls crumbling in the salt wind. Today, the only real settlements are roadhouses, spaced hundreds of kilometers apart, each a lifeline for travelers. Supplies arrive by truck, water is hauled in, and everything depends on the highway staying open. One roadhouse manager puts it simply: if you forget the milk, you wait a week. If you forget the water, you're in trouble. Even modern industry hits the same wall. In 2020, BP withdrew plans for offshore drilling in the Bight, citing cost, risk, and fierce local opposition. The land and sea still decide who stays and who goes. Even now, over 99% of Australians live hundreds of kilometres from these cliffs. As climate and resource pressures mount, untouched places like this become rare. The Great Australian Bight stands as a stark reminder. Not every coastline is meant for us, and some frontiers are shaped to remain wild. Share your thoughts below.